Hi friends! So today we are going to finish crocheting the Magikarp from my previous video. It ended up being a lot bigger than I thought it would be, so I split it into two videos, and we're going to have a fast-forwarded process this time. You're just going to see all the essential stuff that I do to complete this Magikarp. This is not a tutorial, by the way. I just wanted to share with you all my crocheting process. I thought it'd be really fun to share with you how I make this really big stuffed Pokemon. To start off, we are going to continue with making the dorsal fin for the Magikarp. I'm just pulling up a stitch marker here. Please tell me you know who this character is. Leave a comment down below if you do. Quick hint is that he's a beaver. Putting the stitch marker on. I thought it'd be really fun for you to see the process of creating this dorsal fin. It's actually like 3 parts, and then you have to like crochet together each part to make the whole. Anyways, while this time lapse goes through, I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about what my goal is this year. So I have this really ambitious goal of having a no-buy year in terms of yarn, which is why I'm starting this YouTube channel, and I kind of need that motivation to kind of, get this done. My goal is to bust 90% of my stash, which means every single scrap. Also, look at this finished dorsal fin. Isn't that really cool? Looks kind of like a crown. And I don't actually mean busting every single scrap. I think that would be amazing, but for this year, the intention of trying to bust as much yarn, including scraps, as possible is what I'm aiming for. Okay, so I'm just doing a quick preview of what I have so far, which are the lips, the dorsal fin, half of his body, and that's just yarn for the fins that are coming up. That is his headband. So Magikarp has his headband on the front of his head to kind of separate his body from his face. And those are the coverings of his fins. And you'll see later, I'll show you a picture. So this Magikarp ended up taking a lot longer of a process than I originally thought. I ran out of yarn a couple times, I had to go out and find some more, which kind of broke the no-buy year, kind of. I used the voucher, so I actually got that yarn for free, which is really cool. Here you'll see me trying to find the right shade of orange with the sample I brought from home. It was down to those 3 choices. And as you can see, the really big skein was the one that matched best, whereas the smaller ones were a tad bit too light or too dark. Which is okay, because getting the bigger skein of yarn guarantees that there will definitely be enough yarn to finish the project. And there's that orange yarn that I picked up. Really cool that I found the exact color for the body, but also a new challenge to figure out how to bust that entire skein within the year. I was trying really hard not to get that much orange yarn because I don't use it very often. So if you have any suggestions of how I can use that yarn, feel free to leave a comment down below. Alright, so while I get started on joining those 2 pieces of yarn together, I wanted to talk a bit more about my no-buy year. Another aspect to my no-buy year is that, it's intentional buying only. I only buy yarn if I absolutely need it to finish a project, example A, or otherwise use only the yarn I have. Be really clever about it, find substitutes if I can, so on and so forth. By the way, what you're seeing me do here is what's called the magic knot, if you don't know about it. So you tie a knot on each end and you just pull it taut. Technically, you're able to cut the tail ends really close to the knot and it should not undo itself, but I'm not going to risk it today. It's going to be on the inside of the Magikarp anyway, so we're going to leave it as it is. And you'll see, hopefully in future videos, kind of more about what my intentions are. I did want to make a video to show you my entire yarn stash, which is incredible and amazingly messy. I actually already made a queen size blanket from part of my stash I didn't want to take with me into 2023, but I still got a long way to go, so there might be a organize my yarn stash with me video in the future. I'll try. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to chronicle my adventure this year. If I do post any more videos, you can be sure that it's all the yarn I already have. I'm not going to buy new yarn for new projects. I do have a list of projects that I want to get done this year already, so I'm hoping to share that with you as well. But I am really optimistic and really excited about this new challenge and adventure. Okay, so we have finished all of our pieces for the Magikarp. Here is the body. We have his dorsal fin and his belly fin. And okay, it's upside down. Put it this way. Okay. So I actually ran out of the original gray yarn that I wanted to use. If you can see that it's a little bit lighter in shade. So I had to resort to using another gray that was the closest shade of gray that I could find. However, it looks pretty good on this side, so I'm not too upset about that. And just 2 side fins, so same deal here. I have 2 shades of gray, but that's okay. I think that looks kind of cool. Upside down. And then one on the back side. And we have a lot of details for this Magikarp. So we have his barbells, which are gonna go here. So his barbells are in the front, which is right here. His lips, which will go right in the front. This orange part that's gonna go around the fin. Right here, I have to sew pipe cleaners into it, so we'll try to see if we're successful there. And the same goes for the other fin and his tail fin. And lastly, we have his headband thing. It's called a head edge, and that goes right around the front right here. So it looks like a mess, but we're gonna sew it together. And here's a time lapse of me sewing all the pieces together. So I'm starting off with stuffing the body so that there's some reasonable shape as I sew on the top and bottom fins, which also need to be stuffed, and so their placement is kind of tricky if you don't have that 3-dimensional shape of the Magikarp ahead of time. Now you'll see me sewing on the head edge, where I kind of just estimated where I wanted it to be placed, and then I kind of just sewed it parallel to the row that it touched. And that's how I made sure it was straight on instead of being a little crooked. So that's a little trick that I use when I have to align pieces like that together. And you'll see me kind of figure out where the barbells should be located. So this is cool. I finished sewing on the top and bottom fins. I did my best to make it as straight as possible with the body, but you can see it's kind of crooked. But that's okay. I don't mind it not being perfect. It was a lot trickier to sew it together than I thought, just because there was a lot in the way of just stuffing while sewing at the same time. It ended up being pretty tricky. And his head edge is here, so you can imagine where his eyes and his lips are gonna be. And I also finished his fins, his tail and side fins. Really cool. I managed to sew in the pipe cleaners pretty successfully. You can kind of see the green going through it, so I bought green pipe cleaners. but it looks so even that you would think it's kind of part of the tail itself. So yeah, another really cool thing about this is that it can kind of bend if you want it to bend. But anyways, so the last step is, or the last two steps are to sew the tail to the body and his side fins. Looks really cool. You can kind of see it coming together. And then the last piece made of yarn are his lips. So his lips actually come with templates for felt cutouts to mark his like mouth and his tongue. And there's also a felt template to cut out his eyes. So that's pretty much all I need to do before I finish this Magikarp. And I'm gonna tie in the barbells probably last because I don't think this is the right placement for it right now, but I can't tell until the lips are attached. But yeah, we are almost done and it's looking really cool. And here it is, the finished Magikarp. So I had to figure out how to get him to stand upright to show him on display. And I went with having him propped between two Tunisian hooks in the middle of a skein of cotton thread. I call that crafty. So let's take a look at the details. The fins are sewed on a little bit at the diagonal. I was just following the picture in the book. And then you will see the scale embroidery that I did. I ended up using some kind of thin paracord just to have the thread thicker than regular cotton thread. And I just followed what the book had. You'll see that I also embroidered the tail end as well. It's just a line across. And here you'll be able to see the color change between the shades of gray. I don't really mind it that much. I don't think it stands out against the final product. Here's what the other side looks like. It's pretty much the same as the other side. You'll see here the barbells are curled. It actually curled naturally. Whenever you do a row of single crochet, it just twists like that because of your tension. It's a good indicator if your tension is even that you have an even twist. So I just used a marker to put a dot in the middle of his eye to give him his signature shocked look. And both the eyes and the mouth are felted into the Magikarp, so there was no sewing or gluing. The lips are sewed on though. If you're wondering if he can splash, he does. I did a flop test to see how well his fins could kind of flop around. And as you can see, it looks pretty good. And there you have it. I hope you guys really like this video. Please don't forget to comment or like, subscribe if you're feeling it. That lets me know if you guys like seeing content like this so I can make more. Bye, see you next time.